Alright, hello there, small power class. It's me again. I'll make this really quick because I've got a family engagement to get to that I set the time for, and I'm running late, so that's pretty bad. However, last week we should have finished up, or most of you got pretty close to finishing up the taking apart your motors. And this week we're going to start driving into some systems, some engine operations, so we can get underway with that and keep moving on. Our first system that we're going to talk about today is the compression system. The compression system is just like it sounds. Its whole job in life is to compress the fuel and air within inside the block before there's a spark, to really make the explosion pop and be powerful. So how it works is when the cylinder is all the way at the bottom, and it's the bottom dead center, I think is what we need to call that. There's all this space within inside the block, right? You all have seen that when you're taking it apart. During that time, air and fuel are mixed in there, and when the piston starts to come back up, it compresses that air and fuel mixture. Now, as it's pressing it, it's squeezing the crap, for lack of better terms, out of the air and fuel. One second. Don't know who that was. It's squeezing it, all right, and when those air and gas molecules are squeezed, they start to get crazy and out of control and a little bit explosive, right? So when the piston makes it all the way to the top, as far as it'll go, its top dead center, the fuel and air is very, very compressed, very volatile, and all it takes is poof, a spark from the spark plug, and you have the massive explosion. It pushes the cylinder back down, which turns the shaft, which creates the power and the force that the motor makes for us. So that's it in a nutshell. Another way to think of it is kind of like a bullet in a gun. If you take black powder, and I'm not endorsing this, but if you've ever played around with it and you just spread it out and you light it, it just kind of fizzles, right? Same with gasoline. If you light it and it's just kind of out in the open, it'll burn, it's explosive, it'll kind of pop, but you don't really have that big, crazy, forceful anything that happens. However, with the bullet, you take the black powder, you squeeze it down in the casing, you pack it and compress it down in there, and you seal it up with the bullet. When the firing pin hits the primer and the primer pops and explodes, all of that black powder is now compressed and under pressure, and there's an explosion, and it channels all of its force and energy to shoot the bullet out the end of the gun. Same concept with the compression system. The piston compresses all the fuel, or the black powder if you will, to the top of the cylinder, the engine block, sorry. And when the spark hits, it now has all that stuff under pressure, explodes and channels it and creates power. Now, some problems you have with the compression system are you can have leaks. If you have a valve or something that leaks, you'll have weak compression, or it'll mess with the air to fuel ratio, so then you'll have weaker explosions. And some other problems you might have are spontaneous detonations or explosions, which means that instead of the explosion happening when the piston's all the way at the top, the explosion might happen somewhere in the middle, and so it kind of jerks the system around and messes everything up. Somebody else passing. Hello. The best analogy I can think of for that is if you're ever riding a bicycle and you're going, and then you try to go up some stairs. Everything is going well and your legs are pumping, but then when you hit that first step, it jerks you and your legs stop and they don't flow, and then you crash. That can also happen. So those are the two problems, big ones, leaks and then spontaneous detonations that occur somewhere out of the correct cycle. So with that in mind, that's the compression system. Again, the piston compresses the fuel and air. There's a spark. That way you get a lot of power and explosiveness out of that fuel and air mixture. That's what we're going to start on first. This week we'll start tearing down our motors again. You all will focus more on the compression system, identify all the parts, how they work, and we'll go from there. See ya.